Today's date is August 29th, 2003. This is the New Westminster Sports Oral History Project, and the interviewee is Tom Hockley. So Tom, what is your full name?
Full name is Thomas Oscar Hockley.
And your date and place of birth?
My date and place of birth is New Westminster, August 21st, 1946.
Were you born in the hospital here then?
Royal Columbian Hospital.
Right. What's your marital status?
I've been married for 33 years.
And your wife's name and maiden name?
Her maiden name is Susan Lillian Merritt, and of course now it's Susan Lillian Hockley.
And is she from the area too?
No, she's from Kingston, Ontario.
Good. What about children? Do you have any children?
I have 2 children. My daughter is Amy Jean, and she's married to John Boyd. And my son is Jason Robert Hockley, and he's single.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about your parents. Where were they from?
From Brandon, Manitoba, my mom and dad. And my dad moved out here during the Depression time. He drove out. He had an opportunity to play for the Vancouver Canucks.
Oh.
And what happened was he got out here. He found he could make more money painting than that, so he eventually started up a painting company. So my mom came out 2 years later after he got organized and situated with my brother and sister, who were born back there. And basically my dad started up a painting company. Then eventually he got involved with Queen's Park Arena, and he ran the skate shop. Then he ran the concessions. Then eventually he took over all the concessions in New Westminster. Funny story was that my dad always used to tell me this, is when he started working and doing the concessions, he was the owner. He got all the money. The city didn't get anything at that time because he ran it all. Then they found out, geez, he was making so much money, he was making more than the mayor at that time. So they said to him, well, we'll give you get 60%, we'll take 40. And he was still making more money than the mayor. Then eventually they ended up giving him a salary. So. Oh, really?
That's how it worked.
Yeah.
And so he did that for the rest of his life?
35, he was there 35 years.
At the arena?
At the arena.
So you guys have a bit of a legacy with that arena, I suppose.
It's like my brother worked there for 35 years too. He was the head iceman too, before he passed away. I walk in there, I had numerous memories there as a child, because that's where my dad used to drag me down there, and I used to work in the concessions for him.
Oh, did you?
Selling peanuts and hot dogs up in the stands, and then I used to run the cellars for him.
No kidding.
And I'd go to Moody Park and run the concessions there, and we used to run one out of the park by the hospital there. We had a concession stand there. We used to run that too, so we ran the concessions all through the city, at all the parks, park, and everywhere. So we'd be, the weekends I'd be working and helping them out and that. So.
What was that like? Was it exciting being a kid doing that sort of stuff?
It was exciting at the arena because all my friends, they used to always phone me up because I'd get them in free, through the back door. So it was weird because in those days the arena was packed. You went to a hockey game like the Royals were in the Western Hockey League. Plus you had the Salmon Valleys with Jack Beyond and all. You couldn't get a seat in the building.
Oh, really?
The rafters, everyone, it was just packed completely for every game. So it was like everyone in New Westminster came there, and the arena was different then too. It wasn't so modern. It was more, smelled like the old arena. Like they used to have a men's room on the far back there, and every time intermission, where you used to go to the men's room, and they had like the urinals and all that, but they had a little room in the back. And we as kids, we always wondered what the heck, why all the men went in it. So times we'd go in there and look and see there, and they had their little Mickeys, and they'd be having little drinks,
Oh, really?
It was a little favorite spot. Everyone went back, all the men went back. It's sort of like had a little drinking spot.
No kidding.
Oh, yeah. It was sort of neat. It was different. We used to always go in there and pick up all the bottles and that, return them.
For returns.
Because he used to leave everything in there, But, it was, I enjoyed my dad used to take me into the dressing rooms when the arena was empty. Of course, it was during the daytime. And I'd go in and I'd be able to pick up Jack Beyond the Stick or Cliff Sepka's. And I used to go out on the floor and throw the ball around,
With their sticks?
With their sticks, and then I used to, when the Royals hockey team were there, I used to go in and get some of the hockey sticks, like there's Blinky Boys, Gordy Flashaway, different people that used to play down there, and I used to get their hockey sticks, or my dad would bring home some of them because he knew all the players, you know.
Right.
You know, so it was a fun time growing up. It's like got lots of memories when you go in the arena. I sort of like, it's an eerie feeling. I could still feel my brother and my dad sort of floating around in there.
Well, it sounds like you almost grew up there.
I did grow up every day, every Saturday. It was all the kids too, all my friends. We used to go, because they used to have skating, public skating. And we'd all go down there and we'd skate. Saturdays, Friday nights. That's where we'd meet girls. That was the thing. And
No kidding,
yeah. It was a real sort of a meeting place for all the kids down the arena.
Yeah.
And all the kids that played on like the same sport, we always met down there.
Right.
We always got, went to every public skating. It was like, it was like a place like that. I don't know. It was just, we didn't do anything else. That's all we did.
And these were kids that you went to school with too, I suppose.
I know. They were all like Wayne Goss, Ken Wazowski, Kerry Gallagher, Doug Geddes. I mean, I could go through numerous people.
Right.
Right. All kids that we, grew up with and went to school with.
Right.
And, we were all close friends. And all the way up through the end. We were always hung around together. As we got older, partied together, different things.
Yeah.
Eventually people split as you get older.
Right.
They go different ways.
Married and stuff.
Yeah, so that was basically with my dad. My mom worked there too. She used to work in the skate shop and then the concessions.
Really?
Yeah. My dad started the first junior hockey team. They didn't have anyone to play with, but he started it up. And then he was involved with hockey for a long time. Then he stopped, and then he got back involved. He was the treasurer for the New Westminster Junior Royals for, I think, about 4 or 5 years, too. So and he was always involved down there. Real avid curler.
A curler, too?
Yeah, real good curler.
Yeah. So he played hockey right into his later years, sort of thing?
Started playing hockey in Brandon. When he came up here, he played hockey for the Fraser Mills. Played for the Canadian Pacific Railroad back there. He used to play with Turk Broda back in Brandon when Turk Broda was just starting out before he became an all-star goalie.
Right.
But he was a good little hockey player. But he just found that you couldn't feed your family playing hockey.
Not like you could today.
You might not make it today, but you're right. Yeah, like you can today if you're that good, right? Yeah. But no, he just found that it was, he had when he came out here, he had 2 young kids, and he had to get his wife out because he had came out by himself, drove a Model A all the way out here by himself.
Oh, yeah.
And so he started up something, and then he eventually brought, my brother and sister out here, and my mom. They lived right beside Queen's Park. They had a little place, I don't know if you know the corner of 3rd and 1st Street, there's a big old antique house. It used to be Barbara McKay's. My mom and dad, there was a little old house there. Just a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom house. And basically, they rented that house when they came out, and they lived there for a long time.
Oh, yeah. Were you
Or they moved to the family home. No, I wasn't. The family home was just 5 houses up here.
On 7th?
Yeah, it's actually for sale right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that's our family home. So that's where I was born.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right there. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Truly from New Westminster.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about you getting involved in sports. How old were you when you first playing a sport?
Oh, I started sports when I was probably a little bit later. Some of my younger friends started more, but I started when I was probably 10 or 11.
Right.
In those days, so yeah. Your dad didn't take you to the arena. You packed your stuff and got up in the morning and went to the arena, you know what I mean? So if you wanted to join, you had to join yourself.
You had to be dedicated.
Yeah. So I played hockey and I played lacrosse. I played baseball, just the minor sports that we had around here. But lacrosse, I played all the way up to junior. I went out to Quitlam to finish my junior years because at that time there just wasn't enough room on the New West Junior Soundbox to get on the team. So a whole bunch of us went out there to start up the association, actually, the junior team. So we played out there, my junior. Hockey, I played all the way up to midget, and then we won the provincial championships, the only U.S. team to win that. We traveled. It took us 2 weeks. In those days, you won't see it now, but we had to take 2 weeks off school, and we traveled all the way through the interior. We went all the way, and we finally won it up in Cranbrook.
No kidding. So you'd play teams for 2 weeks?
2 weeks, yeah. We played Vernon, and Cranbrook. We went to Vernon, but it was the best of 2 out of 3 series, so we had to stay in Vernon and play a 2 out of 3 series.
Mm-hmm.
And then the winner of that, then went on to Cranbrook, and we had to play a 2 out of 3 series.
No kidding.
Yeah, so we were still in school at that time, eh? And this was, so we had 2 weeks off, we did that, and we won the provincial championship.
So where did you win the actual provincial?
In Cranbrook.
In Cranbrook.
Yeah. But, so that was a real exciting thing, because it's the only newest team that's ever won that.
No kidding.
Yeah, and
that's the midgets?
Yeah.
The midgets, yeah.
Yeah, it was the BC championship.
Oh, okay, so it's 17 and 18-year-olds.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's just about, you're close to like junior these days, but
Yeah.
in those days they didn't have much, the junior.
Right.
It was more like you went to juvenile after.
Oh, okay.
And then now it's junior, it's
Right.
a little bit changed now. So that was a big exciting thing, that was a big accomplishment in my sporting career.
Right.
Like I said, I played baseball, but not, I think I finished baseball when I was probably about 14, 15, played baseball in Westminster.
What team did you play for?
In baseball?
Yeah.
The Braves.
The Braves?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was sort of like a team that was just, they had different names.
Mm-hmm.
And I still got some of the old pictures of us.
Do you?
Oh, yeah.
So that would have been Little League?
Yeah, Little League. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Little League baseball.
Yeah. And so basically then lacrosse, and we won, the provincials too, down in midget and that, and there was Wayne Goss, Stevie Deesum, all piles of people that went on higher up into the, with the Salmon Valleys, newest Salmon Valleys, seniors.
So this would have been when, in the 60s? Or?
Yeah, let's see, 40. Yep, 60s, yeah.
And same with the hockey too,
Yeah,
I guess.
same with the hockey too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because I coached, I became president of New Westminster Minor Hockey in 82 to 84. So,
So how long did you play hockey for?
Hockey right from all the way up, right to when I was 10 years old, all the way up to 18.
Up to 18 to midget.
Yeah.
And then did you coach after that, or when you got out of the sports, did you
started coaching? I got a job by playing hockey. They asked me if I'd worked for the city of New Westminster, part-time as a cashier. So I ended up doing that. So one day someone came by, a couple of people, and said, "Tom, will you coach hockey? Or will you coach lacrosse?" But I was just a young kid. I was only like 20-something years old. So I said, "Sure, okay." So I coached a hockey team. I still have the pictures of that. Me standing there coaching the kids. I coached the hockey team for 2 years, and then I coached the lacrosse team for 2 years.
And you're in your 20s?
I was in my 20s.
No kidding.
And then I used to when I was taking my wife out, I used to take her to the games that I was coaching. I used to go and watch. So I did that until I got married, and then I basically stopped coaching. And then when my son was born, and then when he became 5 years old, because he was born in 71, so in 76, so I got back again into hockey, and I became divisional manager. Ron Loftus actually got me involved.
Ron Loftus, the journalist?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
He was a divisional manager in Novice, so I moved in, I helped him coach 1 year, and then I ended up taking over the Novice division as divisional manager.
And I guess he was starting to get out of it by then.
Well, his son was moving up. He had a boy involved too, right?
Right.
And his sons were moving up, and he was more involved. He was really involved in the record at that time. He was one of the founders of the record. Plus, he was, he had a lot of other things going on. So I took over from him, and I guess that was maybe my downfall because I was there for so many years doing so many things. That was it. They got a hold of me, and I guess they wouldn't let me go. So I ended up staying as that divisional manager for 3 years. Then I ended up becoming president from 82 to 84. Then I ended up doing the equipment manager from 84 to 85. Then I was referee-in-chief from 85 to 86. And coaching all this at the same time, too.
No kidding.
I was coaching my son's team. I coached all the way up to Bantam. And then after that, I stopped coaching, and I kept involved. And then I came back again, and I coached the rep team for 5 years. So after that, so I kept coaching all the way up to the 90s.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Then I just stopped maybe 8 years ago coaching.
Right. And are you involved in sports at all now?
Not right now. The only thing I'll be involved in is I retired, but I just got a new job, and I'm going to be working for Orca Bay, so I'm going to be an event host for GM Place. So I'll be doing all the Canucks games and Ravens games.
No kidding.
Yeah, so I'll be basically just an event host.
So you retire and go back to work?
Yeah, but a fun job.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Tell me a little bit about coaching girls softball. I heard you coach
softball. Oh yeah, girls softball. Started my daughter, who was born in 76. So of course I had done so much with my son. I thought when my daughter was born, then when she got the age to play softball, I thought I'd get one. So I started it out when they were all 5 years old. And I started it up here at Herbert Spencer, and we were called the Sluggers. And I had all the neighbors' kids and my daughter's girlfriends and everything. We had a little team, and it was really fun. And I did that I coached them all the way up to, they were 5 till they went to 8. Then I coached them again in squirt all the way up to bantam.
No kidding.
And we ended up, in squirt, going to a rep team, which had never been done in New Westminster, which was a fast pitch,
Mm-hmm.
And we had one of the best little pitchers in Kerry Catton. And so we ended up winning the provincial championship. So that was a first for New Westminster softball.
For girls softball, yeah. And girls softball wasn't very big for a long time, was it?
It was very small. It just started out, basically we were playing out of the schools. We had a team here out of Herbert Spencer, so I had the kids from Herbert Spencer at a certain age. Then you had the Lord Tweedsmuir had a little team. And then Calvin had a little team. And then we just played amongst ourselves. We didn't go anywhere or travel.
Right.
Or that we just played. It was like a little league, and then we had a little, whoever won it at the end was the champion.
Right,
or whatever.
Right.
But then that was just in the novice, the smaller. Then when you moved up, you went to squirt. Well, we never had a rep team, so we started a rep team because we had some very good ball players.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fun. We traveled around. We went down to the States. We did a lot. It was good. Yeah. And some of the kids kept on. Like I stopped coaching after Pee Wee. And once we got into Bantam, I stopped coaching. But no, it was good. The kids had a great time. I enjoyed it. It was sort of like a different avenue for me because I'd always been with boys, hockey and lacrosse.
Right. What's the difference? The real difference?
The only difference is you're dealing with different types of personalities with females.
Right.
But otherwise the sports are sports.
And they're competitive regardless.
Competitive. You got people yelling and screaming. You know what I mean? And it's no different. It's just a different.
Right.
It's actually fast pitch. It's really interesting. It's a lot of fun to watch.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And it's got really big now. You go to university and get scholarships and different things like that.
Really?
Especially down the state. Even Simon Fraser has a team.
Right, for women too, right?
Yeah.
Huh. So tell me a little bit about what it was like. You said you're referee in chief, but that means you must have been referee before that as well, right?
Yeah, I refereed with my son, who wanted to get back into to make some money. Plus, I always said to him, you find out the other part of the game when you're out in the ice refereeing. He was playing. So we started refereeing together. And
like a father and son team.
Yeah, and plus it was good because we had a lot of young kids refereeing, and so it was nice to have a signer, and we'd like to have an adult with two young, people out there refereeing, because otherwise, if they got into a situation or if people were putting a lot of pressure on them, at least you had an adult there to help them out, So I went a lot with my son, and we did it my son did it for about 3 years till eventually he just couldn't take it anymore because of the people yelling and calling them names and that.
Was that bad, hey?
It was tough, for a young kid to get into that. It's a stressful. You have to be a different type person, eh? Like just let it roll over your shoulders. The people yelling at you. Especially because you just didn't do Westminster. Well, you went to Burnaby and refereed because you were a referee on a list, eh?
Oh, I see.
You could be called to go to other areas, eh? And then when you did teams, it wasn't like you were doing two New West teams and everyone knew everyone. It was like a team would come in from North Van, and then you'd be refereeing, so you could get parents yelling from different areas. Oh,
right.
So he lasted 3 years, and it was an experience. He learned what it was like to be. But then I ended up being referee in chief, just trying to help out organizing it, and so I did that for a year, just to referee at Cheap Park.
Mm-hmm. Any recollections of like bad experiences of parents like really getting upset, or?
Oh yeah, I've had those. I've had where even in the novice division where I used to get parents screaming, yelling at his son. I'll never forget this year because what happened was his son, he was a really good little hockey player, but his dad just like forced him, would stand on the side of the boards constantly yelling. And I was one of these guys, just for the kids to have fun. That was my main objective. I was always, and that's what people liked about me. It was not pressure, just have fun, especially a little wee, So finally I kept telling this dad, I can't, you can't do this, because you're disrupting all the kids, you're screaming and yelling all the time. And this kid, if he didn't score 2 goals, he had to walk home or something, So eventually what I said, I went to the association and said, I'm going to ban this guy from the arena. I says, I'll go pick his kid up. I don't have a problem, eh? So anyways, what happened, eventually I did. I banned him from the arena, and he wasn't allowed back. And what happened was his boy kept playing. And actually, we ended up, his boy kept playing. We used to pick him up, or somehow he got to the arena. His dad never came. And one year we won the President's Cup or something and banned him. It was tougher in those days, because these days they have more kids playing, eh? But you were playing against some pretty good players. Even if it was a house league, it was still good players. But anyways, we won the thing, and years ago, after it was all over, I bumped into him one time, and he says to me, he says, "Oh, Mr. Hockley," said, "I just want to say to you," he says, "out of all the years," he said, that's the most fun I had is when coaching with you," he said.
Wouldn't let my dad come.
Yeah. But, so you get nice things like that. Plus, I still have kids phone me, or... Do
you?
Oh, yeah. I have kids I coached. They'd come over sometimes at Christmas, and I see them, so... There's the good and the bad. Always, but, I enjoyed hockey. It was sort of like it was inbred in me. I was like lived at the arena, so I thought, I just put back what I got out of it. So I got a job. I figure, what the heck, I'll put back time.
Yeah, totally. Did you ever figure skate?
Never figure skate.
No. Yeah, it sounds like, people are really influenced or had, playing these sports and having good coaches and things like that. Real impact, eh? So you've talked a little bit about the arena and what the arena was like. What about some of these other parks? In the early days, what would they have been like as well? In your early days.
Early days, you only had the one arena. You didn't have Moody Park.
They didn't have Moody Park.
No, when we were kids, no. You only had the Queen's Park Arena. That was the only arena. The only other arena closer around was the Forum. Surrey didn't have any right away. Eventually they did, but when we were younger, they didn't have any. Coquitlam didn't either, but then eventually they got one too.
Did they?
Yeah, down the road, like in the middle. Once we got a little older, they got an arena. Burnaby had one. They had the Winter Club. It was there. We used to go and play the odd time there. The other thing around town is Queen's Park was like a forest. It wasn't like it is now, open up, band shells and everything else. It was
really?
It was like walking into, not a park, but a forest. Like you'd get lost in it.
Really?
It was just like a jungle in there.
Really?
Oh yeah, we used to go there when we were kids and play war and hide in there and climb all over, and there was like stumps and there was just no paths or anything.
Lots of fun.
Yeah, it was different. But Queen's Park was the big part. We didn't, Moody Park was no different than it is now.
Right.
Hume Park, no different. It's the same, maybe a little more cleaned up, but I don't know. We always went to Queen's Park because the arena was there. That was the only place.
Right. Yeah. And do you think one of the reasons why there's not as large audiences now is because there's more arenas and things like that?
Totally agree. I mean, you got before this was the main venue besides Vancouver.
So everyone went there.
Yeah, everyone went there. And they didn't have like numerous lacrosse teams like what I mean. You had the Victoria, you had Vancouver, and you had here the Salmon Valley, so then Coquitlam. So you had 4 teams or something.
Right.
Then they started getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Right.
Now it's like hockey. We had the only venue for a while, and then all of a sudden now, like Surrey, Langley, all the arenas go all over. Everybody's got arenas and that.
Yeah.
No, it's just the way it is.
Right.
Things change.
Yeah, definitely. Now, you played box lacrosse, is that right?
Yeah.
Did you play field lacrosse as well?
Yeah, that's right. We played field lacrosse. We started field lacrosse up at the high school.
When you say started, was there none before?
No, there was none. And they started it up, and so I would have been, I guess I'd be 14. Yeah,
So
14 and 13, yeah, just going into high school. We started the field lacrosse. I played goal for the Mikes. It was called the Mikes at that time. Our coach was Mr. Bianco, who was the teacher there. We played it. We used to go and play against Vancouver, Vancouver Tech, Burnaby, and I think there was one more team. I can't remember, another team from another Vancouver high school. It was fun.
Did you say you liked it?
Oh, yeah, we loved it. I was surprised when the school stopped it, that program. It was a program that, I don't know when it was stopped, but I think it was just after, could have been maybe a couple of years after we left. No, it could have been because there wasn't the coaching. Because it wasn't an expensive proposition to run. You know, every kid had his own stick and equipment. Basically, all you did was have 2 nets and a ball, you know, and a field, right?
Right.
So, I don't know, sometimes you hear it might get back, it might not, but I know it's really big now for kids, field lacrosse, like they have the field lacrosse, just the organization, and I hear them playing all the time.
Are they? Yeah.
So it's really getting back big. Yeah, we had field lacrosse, we had ice hockey at the high school too.
At the high school, yeah.
Which they don't have anymore. We had a team out of there. It was called the Mikes too. We used to play every Friday night down at Queen's Park. We used to play against Burnaby Central, Burnaby South. I forget, maybe it might have been another team. So
what high school were you in?
It was, at that time, it was Vincent Massey for the element from 8, 9, and 10, and then it was Lester Pearson from 11, 12. The high school was split in 2.
Oh, I see.
So, so there was both those. We had field lacrosse and ice hockey team, which they don't have anymore. But, they were fun. Every Friday night we used to go down and play hockey down at Queen's Park, so.
What's the real difference between field lacrosse and box lacrosse?
Well, 2 differences. One is you're playing out on a field and you're outdoors. So in box lacrosse, you're indoors, right? You're not running on grass. You're on a hard cement floor. But except for Queen's Park, is still the only arena that has a wood floor.
Still the only one, yeah.
Yeah, no one else has a wood floor. So that's it's like a history. It's a wood floor. The other thing is that there's not the 30-second rule. Too. In box lacrosse, there's 30-second rule, but in field lacrosse there isn't. They just move the ball up, quicker and going in.
And is it
bigger net in field lacrosse, bigger sticks. The lacrosse, the mouth of the stick is bigger in field lacrosse, but otherwise, the equipment's about roughly the same, except for the helmets are a little bit different. They have a little more of a peak on their helmet, the field lacrosse team.
Oh, okay.
But otherwise, though, it's the same perspective. Put the ball in the net. And move it up.
Right. And when you played box lacrosse in high school, would you get people coming out to watch the game?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, it's like coming out watching football. They'd be out there. You might not get as many that came for the football team, but, because it always depends on, the time of day that it was being played. But we used to get people on the side, And they always had the newspaper, and they'd write up about it.
Oh, would they?
Oh, yeah.
That's the Royal Columbian?
No, they had a school newspaper. It was called the Mike.
Oh, okay. Everything was the Mike.
Yeah, and they used to write up all the stuff that happened and everything in the school. It was printed out. It's just like a newspaper. Yeah. So it was, so you kept it involved that way, and people knew what was going on.
Tell me a little bit about, you've talked about the arenas. What about when you were playing baseball? What were the fields like in New Westminster?
Fields were actually good. I liked the fields in New Westminster. You had the big one over here at Moody Park. You had the diamond in there, which was strictly for Little League.
Oh, just baseball then?
Just baseball there. The one for the girls' softball, eventually we used to play out of Moody Park too, which was softball there. And we used to play out of Tipperary Park, which had a softball diamond there. And they were actually well looked after. The Parks Board did a great job looking after them. Eventually, though, we pushed to have them put in more like they've got a diamond down here now at the new park, just down here at Terry Hughes Park. And they've built up the softball diamonds, putting in more sand and that, so that it didn't get so soggy.
Oh, right.
They've been doing that project, and I noticed, I've been reading in the record that they're finally getting all that done, you know.
Right.
So that was good. No, the diamonds were really good diamonds. You know, we didn't have the big population, so it wasn't like it was being used constantly, like some parks are, you know, here. So basically, and the Parks Board really looked after them. Did a great job.
I've heard people talk about going up to Moody Park to watch the men's softball games.
Oh, yeah.
Did you used to do that too?
Well, I used to run the concessions when it was going.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
And they have a little concession just before the diamond. And it was a little brick building, still there, solid brick, and we used to run there. And my dad knew all the fellows there, and we used to go watch. They always had the men's softball there. We used to pay, I forget what it was, a quarter or something to go watch, but people used to they had intermission, they'd come over to us and we'd buy hot dogs. It's not as big as it used to be.
What isn't as big?
Well, you don't get as many people like they used to there. Before, they used to pack the little stands around the arena, they used to be pretty full.
Really?
Watching the games. Yeah.
For like a weekend game kind of thing? Or?
Yeah, or they even had them during the week. You know, they had the special times, you know. But it's like anything. More teams, more municipalities, more people float away, you know what I mean?
Yeah, more sort of things.
More now, it's just basically the wives come to watch, you know what I mean?
Right.
Or someone walking through the park, maybe some seniors go over and watch or whatever. But they still play the concessions, though, during the summer, because I see them open.
Oh, do they? And you're not involved with that at all?
No,
sort of thing?
No.
Right. What were the people, I mean, many people have mentioned to me that the crowds were big at these games.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about this. Would people in your neighborhood go over to the games, or how did it work?
Oh, well, actually what happened was we used to go over a bunch of because it was hard to get into the games, a lot of the games, because they were packed solid.
Right.
And those times they're expensive, so a lot of my friends used to, from the block here, and I had friends, they'd phone up and say, oh, the game's on, so they'd come down to my house, and we'd go with my dad, and we always go in the back door, because we didn't have to pay. And we got in there, you see, and then we'd go, and you'd just be jammed in it, you know.
Really?
It's different now because the arena, but they used to have seats that went right along the boards, okay, and those would be full constantly. You tried to get those because you were right in the play. But and you could stand, and the whole, even up top would be full. And the crowds would be just roaring all the time.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah. No, it would be. The only time I ever seen it come back like that was when the New Westminster Bruins were there.
In the 70s.
In the 70s.
Right.
That's when the crowds came back like it used to be.
Right.
It was packed solid.
Right.
Especially when they went for they didn't play the Memorial Cup here, but when they were playing for the playoffs to get there, it was just like packed. And that reminded me of the old days, the way the arena used to be.
Right, right.
But like I go back again, it's the same. The more everything opened up in the outer areas, the more we lost the people, right?
Right.
First of all, you didn't have the Vancouver Canucks playing, and you didn't have the all these other sports.
The
They draw from people that would come, you know.
Yeah.
Right. You know, so eventually it just started to slow down. I mean, you're lucky now if you get 500 people to a lacrosse game, senior game.
Really? Yeah. Do you still go sometimes?
Sometimes I go. The odd time I'll walk over, go see a game, you know. But after a while, the people, you don't know anyone anymore on the team. You lose that continuity.
Right.
You know, where before it used to know everyone, right?
Right.
You know, it's like every time you went over, you knew Jack Barkley, you knew Doug McCrory, you knew Les Norman. A lot of them were became firemen in New Westminster, right? So they had identity with New Westminster, and so it was like a community type, you know, team. So as a kid, you knew them, you know, and so you went over and you had cheered, you know, especially when Victoria came over, there was a real bloodbath between Victoria and things. You know.
Oh, was
John
there?
Ferguson used to play for Victoria, who ended up going to Montreal Canadiens. Right?
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah, so there was always a big bloodbath between the two of them, like lots of fights and that. So as
In the
kids, you always
audience,
went
too,
over. Oh, there was the odd time the odd fight in the audience. But I always remember the fights out on the floor.
Right.
That's the ones with Jack Barkley and, you know, fighting and Doug McCrory and things like that. So
The kids would get into it.
oh yeah, it was like, you know, those days you like that thing. But that's what I remember about it. Good crowds. There were, you know, lots of business. Like, I know my dad used to be so busy in there.
Right.
Like, I mean, we'd come home at night after work. He'd be working a game. He had an office up in our old house, and he used to bring the money home. And I always used to say to him, geez, you know, people might rob you in that, eh? Like, cause Grace used to have thousands and thousands of dollars. He'd be counting it and take it to the bank the next day. In those days you trusted, you know, there wasn't as much.
Right.
These days you'd never do it. You'd have an armored car come there.
Right,
You know?
right.
But in those days, oh yeah, he used to just take it home in things and put it in his car and drive home. He'd wait till everyone was gone. He'd be the last to leave out of the region.
No kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah. But now it's different.
Yeah, it really sounds to me like what you're saying. Everybody knowing each other, knowing the players.
Yeah.
The players working for the city is a real identity, sort of.
Yeah, it was a real identity.
Right. So, I mean, what about for like an important sport event, like the Man Cup or something like that? Would then the whole city kind of get into it?
Oh yeah. Well, Man Cup was the big thing.
Yeah.
Especially for lacrosse, eh? I mean, that's the emblem of everything, eh?
Yeah.
For everyone plays for it. It's like the Stanley Cup.
Mm-hmm.
It's no different. But yeah, if the Man Cup was in town, oh God, you'd be just, even the Minto Cup, if we were playing, the juniors were playing for the Minto Cup, it would be packed, eh?
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, that was the main, you know, your sort of dream, you know, to go down there and watch that, eh? You know, and it was like, oh God, you couldn't get a seat.
No kidding.
Oh no, I mean, it was just what, because if Sam measure, you get all the people from Vancouver to come watch, because you were playing back east.
Right.
So of course, all the old players from Vancouver are going to come out and cheer for the coast, right?
Right.
So you got all the people, even if their favorite team was the Vancouver Barrage or whatever, they'd come and watch because they wanted the West to win, right?
Of course.
So it was always like the West against the East, no matter who the hell was playing.
That sounds like
cheer for the West, right?
Right.
Yeah. So the Man Cup was a big deal.
What did you enjoy most about sports? I mean, you've played sports or coached or reffed all your life, really.
My main thing was the people. I met some really nice people. Got to meet some nice kids. Another thing is and there was always a main thing was it kept my kids busy.
Oh, right.
I always find it, like, I talk to parents these days, and I say, you know, if you can keep your kids busy, it seems like they don't seem to wander or get into a lot more trouble because they're always doing something. I think it was an important step. Like, that was my main objective. Plus, I always liked doing things with my own family. Like, we did it as a family thing.
Right.
They were always there, the kids. If I was coaching softball, my daughter would be there. If I went to hockey, my son. Eventually, I was coaching other kids, and my kids were involved, but they were older then at that time, so they were doing their own thing anyways, right? But I always found that was the main thing when they were young. It kept my boy, instead of sitting around at 7-Eleven or places like that, you know. They were playing hockey. Plus, they got to meet lots of kids.
I bet, yeah.
And I always think, like, he still plays hockey. He'll go out and play beer league hockey, you know, and so he'll play, and he was playing head hockey, and he never even played head hockey a lot when he was younger, so he's kept involved in the sport. And then my daughter, I think from playing sports, plays beach volleyball, she plays indoor volleyball. So I think, you know, if you get involved in sports, it carries on in their own lifetime, and then they meet other people too, you know, so that was my main thing. I mean, just meeting people. And the other thing was I always wanted to pay back for what I got out of it all. You know, like I thought I probably wouldn't have had my job if I didn't be playing hockey or whatever. So I just thought, you know, I would give something back, and that was a big thing for me.
Right. Tell me a bit about some significant championships or wins that really stick out for you.
Well, the one is when we won the Squirt B championship for my girls softball team. That was really good. It was, those kids were so happy.
I bet. What age is Squirt? Sorry.
Squirt, it was like, I think they were, I'm just trying to think, let's see, they were 10-year-olds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was like really a big thing for them. And that had never been done in New West Fire softball. That was a big thing.
Right.
The other big one was when my son won the President's in Bantam Division, and we won it over in Kerrisdale, and it was like best out of 5, and this was the 5th game, and we won it 5-4. The kids it was like, because a lot of kids some of them didn't go and play the next year because a lot of them got older and they stopped. And it was like a real highlight to them. Some of the kids
game winning 5-4.
Yeah, so that was like and the other highlight is when we won the provincial championships when I was a kid playing midget. When we took that 2 weeks, that was a big highlight of mine.
The real adventure, hey?
Yeah. I mean, I had other highlights like starting up the Herb House tournament, helping that out and getting that going, and seeing some of the kids that ended up in the NHL that played in that tournament. You know?
Okay.
Yeah, like Cam Neely and Brett Hughes, and so you see little things like that. You see that you see those things from running something. You see kids get more ice time, so they get better. So they are for them, So those are my bigger highlights. I just meeting people. I think it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Tell me a little bit about the BC Winter Games.
Oh yeah, BC Winter Games. I took 2 teams in midget division to the BC Winter Games.
That's hockey?
And hockey, yeah.
Okay.
And we went to Kitimat.
Kitimat, wow.
Took them all the way up, flew up to Kitimat, stayed for, I think it was 4 days. Anyways, we played in that. We didn't win, but we had it was an experience the kids never forgot. And then I took a team to Smithers. Smithers.
Oh, yeah.
Smithers for another BC Winter Games. So took them up there for that, and we stayed there 4 days. So it was fun. We slept in the school.
Oh, yeah.
The sleeping bags, all the team and that. So it was fun. It was like, it was just a fun thing.
Yeah.
It was like you go up there and you're sleeping in the school, you play a whole bunch of different teams from all over the province. That's the Winter Games.
Right.
It's more, and it was like you march in, and it was like a mini Olympics. They make it sort of fun for the kids. So they were memorable experiences, which hadn't happened. So, so that's what happened there.
Right. Tell me a little bit about some friendships that have been formed because of sports.
Oh, well, when we were kids, I mean, all the people, we still keep in touch, Ken Wazowski, Wayne Goss, George Parrott, Kerry Gallagher. I mean, I still see them once in a while. Some of them are, like one of them's retiring September 11th, Bruce Hanson. I'm going to that, so I got phoned up. So a whole bunch of people that we grew up together. So I have friendships there. Still people like my wife's had some girlfriends from hockey now that she has, friends of ours. And, like kids, I've been at some of the kids that I've coached, I've been at their wedding, like I've been their MC at the wedding. So.
Right.
So you get little things like that. But as you get older, things start to move on, but you're still friends,
Yeah.
But you might not see as much as you used to.
Right.
I mean, when we were younger, we used to see each other all the time, constantly. But as you get older, people start to move away, and, there's not as many. A lot of the people I knew have moved out of New West. I'm still one of the older ones. Still here. A lot of them move out because whatever, it's cost-wise, you know what I mean? Whatever.
The White Rock and places like that.
Coquit Lumber or whatever.
Yeah. So it sounds like you still remain in contact with some of these people at least.
Oh, yeah. No, I still see some of these people. Some of them that do live in New West, when I bump into them, we talk. And Oh, yeah.
What about impact that sports has had in your life? Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, sports impact, I've always said it's like when I used to be the manager, before I retired, I was the manager of the courthouse in Burnaby, and people wonder what, that's a question that I think I got asked that in an interview one time. And I says, to run a company is like being a coach of a team, a team player. That's what makes it work. If we all work together, you know. That's been a big impact because I've always sort of managed the courthouse or done my work, been a hard worker. I've always been like, look and go by example. So if you work hard, that person will follow. So it's like a team concept, you know what I mean? The harder you work, usually your fellow defenseman or fellow forward will work as hard to keep up. That's been an impact in my life because I think just from the training, the people going to, I've taken both through, I got my level 2 coaching certificate through Douglas College, and just learning all that type of concept. I've moved that on into the business world, so that's one of the bigger impacts I find that I got from.
Right. Do you feel that sports is still important or relevant to communities like New Westminster?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a foundation, I would say. It's not just sports. It's like theater, all that type of thing. It's a whole community thing.
Right.
You still see New Westminster minor hockey. The registration's getting higher. You're seeing more and more people putting their kids into sports because I think they know it's an avenue of first of all, better than sitting around watching TV or playing the computer constantly. Like they should be getting more active, or otherwise, well, you know, you'd have people sitting around having heart attacks by the time they get 50 or 60, right?
Right.
But no, sports is a big thing, I think. Especially because first of all, you get to meet your other community people, and especially if you have young families, they get to meet each other.
Right.
That's where you get bonding in the community. You know, sure, people move away, but you can get a bond. You know? Especially if you're a new person in the community, and then you have a young family, you get them involved in sports. That's how you meet other people.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So I think it's a big part of it. Yeah.
Right. So that's pretty much it about the interview. Is there anything you feel I might have missed or that you'd like to add?
There's probably something that I can't, you know, you go back and try to remember everything.
Right.
No, not really. Let me see. Just that, no, basically covered most of the stuff I can't.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.